Hi everyone, welcome back to the Experimental Super Cub build, episode number 5. It's been a little bit of time since the last episode and quite a lot has happened. You'll notice I am not in the basement anymore, and probably due to the better lighting in this shot right now. I've moved the fuselage up to the garage.
It's heavy. First sight of light. First time it's seen the sunlight.
Its natural habitat
And humidity for the first time. Now, this is second phase, going into the second phase garage.
Second phase garage.
Watch that hook of the regulator.
And kind of have moved just all of my other equipment out of the way to be able to start finish welding the fuselage. That's kind of where I am. Where we left off last video was I had just finished tacking together the main upper and lower longeron section of the fuselage, and I was starting to think about tacking together assembling and tacking together the bird cage. So once the bird cage was tacked together, and basically then I went through and tacked everything again. Once I was like happy with how the fuselage was turning out, that it was plumb, that it was level across the longerons, then I went back and I tacked together all the tubes that I could get to on the top. Trying to, now that I've got it aligned, to make it as rigid as possible so nothing moves. From there I released the forward and rear stations at the rudder tube and the firewall station, and then it was kind of free, and my wife and I turned it upside down, kind of set it on the ground and sat in it and kind of wandered around it.
Dude, look at it.
Okay.
Great! It's so cool. Wow.
It's on this now.
What do you think? What are you doing? He's excited.
He dropped his pacifier.
What do you think?
Yeah.
We're not here towards the cabin.
It's a little scary.
This is where we sit.
Yeah.
Then we put it back up on the table upside down so that it still could be on the level build surface. In case it was still a little bit flexible, it would rest evenly across the top of the bird cage and wouldn't impart any kind of twist. So I flipped it over, put it back on the build table, and then tacked all the bottoms of basically the lower longeron and the bottom of the airplane, tacked it all together, all the places that were really hard to get to when it was sitting in the jig on the table. I tacked that and got it more rigid. And after that, I had about 3 tacks on each tube, and I started to feel really good about the rigidity of the airframe for moving around and not twisting immediately. From there, I started to think about what I was going to do, how I was going to hold the fuselage for the finish welding. Now that the majority of the tubes have been assembled, it's time to weld each cluster to complete the assembly of the fuselage. So what I chose to go with is a rotisserie fixture for this fuselage. That way it can be spun, the fuselage can be spun 365 degrees and any part of the cluster then accessed pretty easily. I built the rotisserie from a Harbor Freight engine mount stand, and I kind of modified it. I had to make it about a foot taller to be able to clear the bottom, to be able to clear the whole airframe as it rotates. And then I took a CV off of one of that I took out of an old van, cut it in half, and used it as kind of a universal joint, so that the fuselage, when you spin it on that axis, it's not perfectly aligned with the tail. So it gives you the ability to spin the fuselage and not have it bind up. And that was just some simple welding, and pretty fun to fabricate, pretty fast fabrication there. Then they were connected by a 2x12 that was just some scrap I had, and then I actually used my jig from the tail post, again, drilled a hole in it, and then made a fixture to hold the tail post on, and then you ended up with this it's really nice fixture. So that's kind of where I am now. We're finished welding. We've had one full night of finished welding. I've spent a few hours since the hour that the night that my dad came over and helped me. We've got two TIG welders, and we're gonna go at it one night a week until we're finished. And we're making pretty good progress. We've got about 3 stations done. So pretty good progress, and it's actually pretty enjoyable to finish weld these things. Not as bad as I thought it was going to be, or not as tedious as I thought it was going to be. I'm sure by the end of it I will be ready to be done with it, but for right now it's pretty fun, and I'm excited to get the thing rigid so it can be set up on some gear and start looking like a real airplane. I've also started working on the stabilizer, the horizontal stabilizers. They're coming together nicely. I had to build a bending fixture for them. That was pretty easy once I built all the fixture and had everything built. The tube bent pretty easily. So I'm basically been forming the leading edges and cutting the material for the ribs, though it's kind of been split focus between that and getting the fuselage finish welded. I've also got my material list for the torque tube. That'll be the next sub-assembly that I'll be building once the elevators and horizontal stabilizers are finished. There's also Sun and Fun's coming up in a few weeks, so that will be going down there. So if you happen to be down at Sun and Fun, we'll be probably in the biplane section. We'll be flying a Christian Eagle, and my dad will be flying his Pitts down there. So that'll be fun to be able to look at a bunch of Cubs, get a bunch of ideas, take a bunch of pictures and measurements, and kind of see all these assemblies that I've been thinking about and trying to wrap my head around, see them in the flesh and assembled, and see some of the different ways that people are building this airplane. So I'm looking forward to that. And that's about all I have. If you enjoy this video, give me a like and be sure to subscribe. I'll be posting more videos as often as I can as work progresses and I have actually something interesting to show you guys. Until next time, have a good one. Bye.